Hello students, I am Cezanne. Today I am going to teach you English literature of class 6th. Chapter 1 Meeting Cezanne. This year we have a new English literature book. And the first chapter in this book is Meeting Cezanne. So let's start. So first let me introduce to the chapter. In this chapter, the writer of the chapter is Michael Morpurgo. And there are 5 characters in the story. First is Yannick. He's a 10-year-old boy, and the whole story is surrounded on Yannick only. And then second is Amandine, his cousin. Bruno, his uncle. Mahelde, his aunt, is also his mother's older sister. And Picasso. We all know that he is a famous painter of the 20th century. So let's start. I'm reading through the book and the chapter is available on the website. You can have that. Flipping through his mother's book, a young boy named Yannick admires the beauty of the countryside of Provence. Flipping through his mother's book means he's turning the pages of his mother's book. And the young boy, that is Yannick, he's admiring the beauty of Provence. Now what is Provence? Provence is a region in southeastern France famous for its scenery. It's a very beautiful country as painted by the master painter Cezanne. So Provence is a very beautiful, it is situated in France. So Cezanne, who is a famous painter of the 20th century. The first chapter name is Meeting Cezanne. So who is Cezanne now? Cezanne is a very famous painter of the 20th century. So he has painted so many paintings of Provence because Provence is a very beautiful country. It is in France. A very beautiful scenery. It have like hills, mountains, rivers, lakes, everything so beautiful. So he has painted Provence very beautifully. So one summer he gets the chance to go and spend time with his uncle's family who lived there. So his uncle and aunt used to live there in France, in Provence. So one summer he gets a chance to go there. Yannick soon begins to enjoy his stay, occasionally helping his uncle run the village inn. Yannick, finally, actually, I would like to tell you that he doesn't want to go to Provence because he doesn't want to visit Provence just because he has read in Cezanne's book or he has seen so many drawings of Cezanne's book. So he got so much inspired by that. Because he has been sent by his mother forcefully because his mother has got operated. And Yannick is just a 10-year-old boy. Doctor has advised his mother for a complete bed rest for a month. So she cannot take care of herself and a 10-year-old boy also. So she has sent Yannick to his older sister. And she used to live in Provence. So that's why he has to go Provence. But he does not want to go. So after spending some time there, he finally started loving the place and living there because Yannick does not want to go and leave his mother, and as we also do not like to leave our mother and get separated from her, similarly here Yannick also does not want to leave his mother and go to any other place. So continuing again, Yannick soon begins to enjoy his stay, occasionally helping his uncle run the village inn. So his uncle in Provence was running a village inn. Village inn means a small hotel, we can say. One day there is a bustle at the inn. What is a bustle now? It means noise. So much of noise was there at the inn. For a famous man means any famous man has arrived. Now let's begin. Now let's see who's that famous man. The inn's best customer comes visiting. Who is this man and why is there such a fuss about his visit? Now he's wondering that who is this man and why so much of noise is there and what is he famous for, because he is new in Provence, so he was not aware of this man. And why so much of fuss? Fuss means when people behave in an excited manner, especially when it's not so important for them to behave like this. So beginning with the chapter now. That evening, my cousin Amandine told me I had to do everything properly because their best customer was coming to dine with some friends. So Amandine, that is his cousin, has told Yannick that today we have to do everything perfectly because the best customer of Provence is coming to dine. Dine means to have a meal with some friends. He lives in the chateau. Now, chateau means, what does it mean? A large French country home or castle in the village, she said, and was very famous. When I asked what he was famous for, she didn't reply. So, Amandine didn't reply when Yannick asked her that why this man is famous for and for what purpose he's famous, for what he do that he's famous. So, Amandine and Yannick does not, they were cousins, but they were not having so good tuning among them, between them. So that's why Amandine, instead of replying, she just said, you just put up questions after questions, you just do your work, what I told you. Questions, always questions, she tutted. Tutted means Mita expressing, she got annoyed and said like this. So go and fetch the logs. She told him to go and fetch the logs for the bonfire. Whoever he was, he looked like an ordinary man without much hair. Now whoever this man was, means the man has arrived. So he was not looking like that so special as everyone is giving so much of attention to him, no, but he was looking like an ordinary man only. He was thinking this, Yannick, that he is not living so extraordinary, that why people are paying so much of attention to him without much hair. But I felt very pleased when the famous man ate one of my crème brûlée. Now what's this crème brûlée? This is one of a French dessert. So one of the French dessert, which was made by Yannick himself. So he felt very pleased that he has made this. And who had made him to prepare? His uncle. After the man and his guest left, we began to clear the table. As soon the guest left, he started to begin to clear the table as he used to do. He started doing his usual work. I pulled the paper tablecloth off. The tablecloth was made of paper, scrunched it and threw it into the fire as usual. He scrunched it, okay, and then threw it into the fire as usual. As usual work he used to do, the same way he did that work also. Now what is crunch? A loud crunching noise of here we can say a paper tablecloth. A loud crunching noise. You fool, she shouted. You little fool. Who said this? Amandine. What? He was surprised what he did. I said. That is Yannick. I here in the story is Yannick. That man who just left does a drawing on the tablecloth as a tip for Papa if he likes his meal. You went and threw it in the fire. He is the most famous painter in the world, idiot. She was in tears now. She said, you know what have you done? You have thrown the painting of the very best famous painter, and you have thrown his painting as a tip. He has left the painting for us, and you have thrown that painting into the fire. And you know what have you done? You are not realizing. Now she started crying and she was in tears. Now whatever he has done, he has not done intentionally. And when earlier Yannick is asked also that what this man is famous for, instead of responding back what Amandine said, you just go and do your work, questions after questions, you're putting up questions only. So it happened unintentionally that he threw that drawing into the fire. Everyone in the restaurant stopped eating and went silent. When this scene happened there in the restaurant, then everyone got silent and they stopped eating. Then Uncle Bruno came striding towards us, unlike his jolly self. What is it? He asked Amandine. Then Uncle Bruno came striding. What is striding? Striding means to walk with long steps. When he heard Amandine just shouting so badly to Yannick, so he came and asked, what's the matter? It was Yannick, Papa, she cried. He threw it into the fire, the tablecloth, the drawing. So she started directly blaming to Yannick. It's all because of Yannick. He threw into the fire, the tablecloth, the drawing. So then Uncle asked Amandine, did you tell him about it? Did Yannick know that he sketches something on the tablecloth and leaves it behind for us? So now Uncle Bruno asked, have you ever told that he is such a famous painter, or he is just leaving a tip when he likes our meal? Have you told anything such? So Amandine looked at me, her cheeks wet with tears. I thought she was going to lie, but she didn't. Now Amandine looked at Yannick, her cheeks were wet with tears. So he thought that Amandine would lie. Why he thought like this? Because I have already told that they were not good friends, though they were cousins. So they were not having a nice conversation or anything or nice tuning, we can say. So that's why he thought that Amandine would definitely lie. But she didn't. No, Papa, she said. She accepted, lowering her head. Then you shouldn't blame him, should you, for something that was your fault. Say sorry to Yannick now. Then his father, that means Uncle Bruno, said, and why are you blaming him? If you have not told him, then how would he come to know? Say sorry to Yannick now. She mumbled it, but didn't raise her eyes. Mumble means to speak quietly without opening your mouth properly. So Uncle Bruno put his arm around me. Never mind Yannick, he said. Uncle Bruno means now he's trying to console Yannick. Why? Because he is first time he actually went to province to his uncle's and aunt house. That too when his mother has sent him forcefully. He doesn't want to leave his mother. And when he has when he has gone there, started living there, doing all the doing all the work of the inn and all, trying to adjust himself. And then if someone starts shouting like this and without any and that too without any so big fault, and that too when he had done something without knowing anything, and that too because it was totally unintentional whatever this happened. So if he does so that he doesn't feel bad, that's why Uncle Bruno is trying to now calm him and started consoling him. Never mind Yannick, he said. He particularly likes his crème brulee. You made it, didn't you? I think now this Uncle Bruno is saying, I think he likes your crème brulee. So that's why the tip is just because of you only. You made it, didn't you? So the drawing was for you. So drawing was also for you. The tip was for you. And what was on the tip? Tip was drawing. So drawing was for you. Really, always look on the bright side. For a moment, you held a drawing that was made for you by the greatest painter in the world. That's something you will never forget. Now Uncle Bruno is trying to calm and console, and he's saying, you just think that you yourself made crème brulee, and your crème brulee was liked by the famous painter. This is also a very special moment. Plus you held a very famous drawing for a moment. This is also a very special moment. So why are you thinking that you have thrown the drawing? You just think that you have two special moments. Your crème brulee has been eaten, and you also hold his drawing for at least 2 seconds in your hand. That is very important. So why you're thinking for the wrong thing? Later on as I came out of the bathroom, I heard Amandine crying in her room. I hated to hear her cry, so I knocked on the door and went in. Now when Yannick came out of the bathroom, then Amandine was crying in her room still. So Yannick entered and said, sorry. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean to upset you. She had stopped crying by now. Now Amandine stopped crying. It wasn't your fault, Yannick, she said, still sniffling a bit. Now what is sniffling here? To make noise by breathing, especially because you have a cold or just because, or you are crying. So she said, no, it's actually not your fault, it's mine, because I have not revealed you who he was. So it's just that I hated when Papa's cross with me. She said, I'm crying now because I hate when Papa is angry with me. So she says, no, it's actually not your fault, it's mine. But I'm crying because my Papa actually shouted at me. When Papa is angry with me, that's why I'm crying for this purpose. And then Amandine smiled. But Yannick was feeling just all of the fuss happened just because of him. So he thought, now whatever I can do, I will do. Because it's now first time that Yannick has got a smile back from Amandine, and Amandine also apologized. That's why now Yannick wants to just do something for her. So the next morning I didn't go for my walk in the hills, but made my way down through the village towards the chateau. I waited till there was no one about. I climbed the gates easily enough and then ran down through the trees. So instead of going for a walk, daily used to go for a walk, now he's going towards the chateau. Now why he's going towards the chateau? Because he came to know that the famous painter lives in the village in the chateau. So I waited till there was no one about. Now he's waiting if no one is here. So now why he's waiting? Why? Because he wanted to climb the gate, and then he did the same. I climbed the gates easily enough and then ran down through the trees. They are surrounded by the vast and threatening forest on all sides. Now, now he's surrounded by the threatening forest and the trees, because he's just a 10-year-old boy. So, and if we also will go in such a at such a place, and that too alone, then we also will get frightened. So he's now somewhat frightened by this sight. And then he saw an old man. He was an old man with very little hair who had come to the inn, and he recognized the man. He was the same famous painter. He was sitting alone on the steps in the sunshine and sketching. He was sketching. In the sunshine means it's a morning only. It's now, I've told you, he's not gone for a morning walk, and he was sketching something. I approached as silently as I could, but somehow I must have disturbed him. He looked up, shading his eyes against the sun. "Hello, young man," he said. Now that I was this close to him, I could see he was indeed very old, but his eyes were young, bright, and searching. Now, when he came so close to the man, then he realized that the man is very old, but his eyes were young, bright, and searching. Are you Monsieur Cezanne, the famous painter?" I asked. He seemed a little puzzled, so I went on. "My mother says you are the greatest painter in the world." Now he's questioning him, because his mother has told him that Cezanne is one of the very famous painter. So here, are you? And Amandine has also not told him the name, that who's the famous painter. So he was thinking that there is only one famous painter in the world, and that is Cezanne. So, and he thought that this man is also a Cezanne. Now let's see. He actually met Cezanne or someone else only. "So are you Monsieur Cezanne, the famous painter?" I asked. He seemed a little puzzled, so I went on. "My mother says you are the greatest painter in the world." He smiled and then laughed. He said, I think your mother's probably right," he said. "You clearly have a wise mother, but why did she let a young lad like you come wandering here on his own?" He said, "I think your mother is very wise, but why had she allowed you to come here, and that too so alone?" So I explained. Then Yannick explained why I had come and what I wanted. He looked at me with furrowed brows and said, "I remember you now from last night." He said, "Yes, I remember you when I saw you last night in the inn. Of course, I'll drop another picture for Bruno. What would he like?" "Bruno? Who's Bruno?" "His uncle." "What would he like?" "No, better still, what would you like?" He said, "No, you tell me. First you tell that what Bruno would like to." "No, you tell, what would you like that if I draw for you?" I means here, Yannick said, "I like sailing boats." I said, "Can you do boats?" "I will try," he replied with a smile. He said, "I will try." Now this is a very gentle answer, that I will try. He is a famous painter and he's saying, "I will try." So it didn't take him long. He drew fast, never once looking up, but as he worked, he asked me about what I had seen sailing boats, where I had seen sailing boats, about where I lived in Paris. He said he loved Paris and sailing boats too, whatever. So he started asking him, "So where have you seen the sailing boats? Where do you live?" And he started putting questions. Who? The famous painter too? Yannick. And he kept answering. Till then, the drawing was going on. "There," he said after completing, tearing the sheet from the sketchbook and showing me. "What do you think? 4 sailing boats were racing over the sea, out and beyond a lighthouse. Just I had seen them in Brittany." So he said, "It's the same as I have seen in Brittany, exact. But I saw he had signed it Picasso." So he was not Cezanne. He was thinking that he met Cezanne, but he was not actually Cezanne. Who he was? He was a very famous painter. We all must have heard his name, and he was none other than Picasso. So, but Picasso himself has not revealed his identity, that he is not Cezanne. Okay, so here in this story, Yannick meets 2 famous painters. One, Cezanne, and second is Picasso. Cezanne he has not met directly. Cezanne he has met through his mother's explanation or through Cezanne's drawings. But Picasso he met directly, face to face, had a very nice conversation with him, and Picasso has also drawn a very nice drawing for him. So this was the chapter. So let's have a quick summary of the chapter through some of the pictures. So here we can see this is the name of the chapter, Meeting Cezanne, and the writer of this chapter is Michael Moore-Burgo. And in the image we can also see Yannick and the famous painter, that is Picasso. the second picture we can see that Yannick does not want to go to Provence and leave his mother, but he is not able to understand what he can do. But then also he was forced to go to Provence, though because his mother was not well, so that's why he decides to go to Provence. This is Yannick's aunt, Aunt Mahelre, his mother's older sister, to whom he has gone to Provence. This picture is of Village Inn that his uncle and his aunt were running, and he was helping them in this. We can see the image. In this picture we can see that how Uncle Bruno is helping him and teaching him how to make a famous French dessert crème brûlée. In this picture we can see how beautiful Provence is. So daily he used to go for a walk in Provence and have a very nice time there, and slowly he started adjusting with his family, his uncle and his aunt also. This picture is when Yannick has prepared creme brulee for the famous painter when Picasso has come to the inn. It's when Yannick has thrown the paper tablecloth, that is the drawing, the tip made by Picasso, into the fire, and this Yannick, Amandine has come to. Amandine she came no to just hold it, to catch it if some remnants were left, but it was of no use. This picture is of that. So this is the same paper tablecloth that was thrown by mistake by Yannick, but when she took out, Amandine took out by the tongs, but it was of no use. After this incident, Yannick himself decides that he will only now do whatever he can. Then he himself will go to the famous painter and will ask him and will plead him to make a drawing again. And then he decides to go to chateau, and the chateau was all covered with the forest, because chateau means a castle or a fort. It was covered with a forest and big trees, and we can see here Yannick wandering alone. He got frightened also here by seeing all this forest and a very big castle, but then also he goes there for Amandine. And there he found a famous painter, Picasso, sitting there. He was sketching something, and then he told the whole story, that why he has come there. And then Picasso again agreed to make a drawing for him, and Picasso made a very special drawing for him. Whatever he has said, and Yannick has said him to make sailing boats, and he made the same. We can see here, while making a drawing, he was having a conversation with Yannick, that from where he has come from Paris and where he has seen the sailing boats and all. They both had a very nice conversation, and he had a very nice conversation with a very famous painter. This moment he will never forget. And this was the drawing that he has said to Picasso to make for him, and he has made exact drawing what he has seen in Brittany. Now here are the word meanings of the chapter. Number 1, flipping through. I have explained the word meanings while the chapter explanation, but again I am giving a brief explanation on the word meanings. Flipping through, looking quickly through, means seeing the book. Admire, regard with respect or praise. Suppose we say, no, I admire this leader or the principal. Occasionally means sometimes. Stay, to do things in a hurried way and I have said of the bustle, to do things in a hurried way and busy way. Stay means remain in the same place. He has gone to stay to province. Bustle means I've told it also means noisy. In a house providing accommodation, or we can say a small hotel. First, needless noise or excitement. That was when we get annoyed, and then we express the annoyance for our words. Make an exclamation expressing disapproval or annoyance. Fetch, go for and then bring back. When suppose we say fetch something or like this, someone or something. Pleased, happy or satisfied. Scrunched, to press hard things together so that they make a noise. When we tear a paper or make a ball of a paper, or just you do in the school or in the class, some type of scrunchy noise is coming, no? That noise. Grabbed, he scrunched the paper, the same paper tablecloth. Grabbed means to catch something, grasp or seize suddenly or roughly. Tongs means chimta that we use in the kitchen. Remnants means the remaining part, whatever. A part in quantity that is left after the great part has been used, removed or destroyed. Striding, to walk with long stems, lambe kadam. Wet, liquid that makes something damp. We all know what is wet. Blame, feel or declare that someone or something responsible for fault or wrong. To blame someone. Mumbled, I have told that say something quietly or making it difficult for others to hear means when we suppose when you talk in the class, an example, right? You are doing the mumbling, sniffing to smell something by taking an air through nose. Cross, angry or annoyed. Vast, extremely big. Approach, come near or nearer. Puzzled means confused. So these were the word meanings. Question answer and other exercises are given on the website. Thank you. We'll see you in the next chapter.